So you want someone to join your group. You want to join a new group, whether it's for role-playing, board games, or war games, or card games, or whatever the situation might be. How do you know if the people or the person is going to be a good fit for your group? Well, these are my methods on how to root out the good ones from the bad ones. Hello and welcome to this Spiel.digital special video that we are recording. My name is Guy and normally I'm doing a show called How to Be a Great GM on YouTube, where I talk about how to tell good stories within the role-playing space, or actually just within the space of telling good stories. However, today, because of Spiel.digital, we are going to be talking about how to find the right fit for you and your group. What should you be looking at? And in my opinion, there are three fundamental areas that you need to almost have checkboxes for in order to find someone who fits within your group. Now, the very first one, I always say you've got to look for play style. And this you can identify very quickly. You sit down around a board table. Again, this is why it's wonderful to go to conventions. There's no pressure. You don't have to have them coming around to your place or meeting at a club. You can just play at these conventions. Usually online, of course, it's virtual, so hopefully there's there's a different type of connection there, but you get to still see how people play. And generally, when we talk about play style, you get some type of people who are, I will win at any cost. I will use the rules to my advantage. I will use the mechanics of the game to my advantage. I will grind you to dust using my logical mental superiority. Now, if it's a role-playing game, the same thing applies. I will create the ultimate combination character who cannot be killed by the GM because they have all of the right stats and are using that system to its max. There's nothing wrong with these different play styles, I should say, before I continue. Everybody's got a different play style, and groups of players who get together who all want to mathematically work the system have incredibly intense games where there's lots of very careful, very manipulative, very logical steps that have been taken. But that kind of player is not going to work very well with someone who's like, I'm just looking for a game. Just looking for a game. Don't care. I mean, what are we playing? Don't really care. Let's sit, let's chat. Where are you from? What do you like doing? What collection do you have? I've got 17 different types of plush, whatever. The person who's there just to play the game, they're just having fun. They're slightly amused by moving the little tokens, or if it's role-playing, yeah, it's an interesting story, but if we don't play next week, I'm not going to die. I mean, it's just role-playing, right? You do get those kinds of casual players, I think is the right term for them. Casual players work very well with other casual players because they're all casual about it. It's like, yeah, let's play, let's not play, yeah, anyway. Yeah, so you get those kind of players. You then get a different type of player where losing is actually as fun as winning for them. And that's me, by the way. That's my type of play. I don't care if I win or lose. I really don't care. It's nice to win. Sure, you go, ha-ha, I have bested you using whatever mechanics have been in play. But I think I'm too much of a GM. I have far more fun allowing my fellow players, not allowing, they are being challenged and I'm doing my damnedest to stop them from winning. But when they do win, it's like, oh, well, nicely done. I liked how you maneuvered that. I liked how you did that. I liked how you twisted that around. I liked how that worked. Now, don't get me wrong. If I play 10 games in a row and I lose all 10 of those games, I will eventually start going, you know what? Maybe it's time for a different game. Let's try who weighs the most. Let's see if I can win that one. But if losing is part of the experience, that means that the players will be playing as hard as they can, but don't really care if the outcome is in their favor or against their favor. These don't work very well at the win at any cost type of people. The win at any cost type of people get frustrated by the losing as the part of the experience people, because the losing as part of the experience people are going to try things and go, I don't think this is going to work. But when it fails, it's going to fail spectacularly. That's something to look out for. And then another type of player is the you should do this player. Oh my goodness. These players I personally detest. I don't like them at all because losing is about the experience. So if I want to lose by making a stupid mistake, I want to own that mistake, not be told that it's a stupid mistake. So the you should do this people are literally the folk going, well, if you move your token there, then I can do this, and then he can do that, and then she can do that, and then he can do that, and then they can do that, and then we win. You're like, well, why are you bothering playing with other human beings? Really, let's move on. There are lots of people who like that, though. They like to see the mechanics. They see the mechanics. They see that their fellow players haven't grasped them and are so interested in seeing the whole thing come to fruition, come to a successful conclusion, that they want to start telling you what to do. It's like, oh, you shouldn't roleplay like that. You shouldn't. That's not what alignment does. That's not what your spell abilities do. Put those people together around a table, they're going to have an absolute whale of a time, because they're all desperately going to be trying to make sure they maximize what's coming out of that game in terms of their decision-making process. It's not about winning, it's about beating the system for these kinds of players. And then finally, you get the "is it over yet" player. Now, these players are literally just players going, is it over? Is it over? I hate this game so much. I hate you all right now so much. I really just want to be somewhere else cutting my hand off with a blunt saw, because this is painfully boring. And again, these folk exist, and when you put them all together, they'll start playing a game and probably wander off halfway through, because it's not about the game. It's about being social, about sitting around the table, chatting, being in the same space as other humans, and having that kind of connection rather than what's actually happening with the game. And we go through phases like that. I think we all go through phases like this. Like, oh, let's play board games, and some people are enthusiastic, and you're kind of like, oh, well, all right, I'll hang out. Oh, there we go. I'll move my piece, whatever. So first of all, we look at playstyle. We look at those different types of playstyle, and you can identify, I think, fairly quickly, if you play 1 or 2 games with these individuals, if you spend 2 hours in roleplay, you will tell pretty quickly the type of character that they are. So there is definitely that to look at. So that's the playstyle. Now, the cultural fit is the next big key for us to look at. And the cultural fit is, we've got to look at I'm not talking about world culture. I'm talking about people who go, no, we're playing a game now, and you cannot speak about other stuff because we're playing a game now, and you have to focus. This is the game that we're playing, okay? And so this is what's happening. Nothing else is happening. You're going, whoa, okay, this is serious now, and we're seriously going to be playing the game. I mean, they might have fun whilst playing the game, but if you say, hey, what are you doing next Saturday? And they're like, no, well, talk to me later. We're playing the game now, right? Super focused folk. That culture of we're playing the game and the game becomes paramount. A lot of people are like that. And I know personally that if I'm playing a game and other people around the table start talking about other stuff, or they're like, oh, what's that game about? Focus, Sparky. We're playing this game for now. If you want to play that game later, I will happily lose to you in that game later. But for now, this game, please. I can't lose to you properly if you're not playing, right? Interesting. Anyway, so yes, I'm like that. We're playing a game, so let's play the game as best we can. Another type is actually we get to play the game, but we are basically going back to being kids. This is fun. This is super cool. The rules don't really matter about the rules. Oh, you did something fun. That's cool. Oh, maybe we should do some drinking at the same time, just to have an absolute blast. And it just is what it is. And you're going, okay, that's an interesting one. Not for me personally, because we're playing the game, and so if you're drinking, it should be stuff that helps you focus on the game, not defocus on the game. But again, those are people who like to have fun, and why not? Why not? That's what the whole point of this hobby of ours is. You then get the type who are, what happens at the table stays at the table. These particularly apply to friends and to romantic partners, where this is cutthroat. I will cut you. I don't care if we are married and have been married for 10 years. As a matter of fact, I'll probably cut you deeper because I know how your mind works, you pathetic worm. Die, die, die. Those kinds of people I love playing with, because the alternative is, oh, but you're my wifey husbandy thingy, and I love you from here to heaven and back again, and so you can have half my gold because you've run out of gold. What? No, that's a violation of all the sanctities that have ever been done. unless the game permits players to exchange gold like that, in which case then it's just an abomination of fairness and sportsmanship because the husband-wifey thing has done some stupid act. All right, so this is more of a revelation about me as a player than anything else. Anyway, so yeah, you get those two combinations. You've got to make sure that they fit at your table. Maybe you are one of those two combinations, in which case, again, I'm being judgmental because it's not what I like, but it's about what you like and testing the person coming into your group as to whether they fit or not. So if that's your playing style, I won't fit in your group, not you won't fit into my group. Well, you wouldn't either, but the point is this is about you, not about me somehow. Anyway, right, so the last type is that what happens at the table carries on into every other game that we will play for all time and into infinity. So yes, that is something that is super critical, super important to look at. And you know, those people just carry rivalries over. Now, I used to do that with my friends. It's like, oh, you beat me last time. I'm going to get you this time. Don't you worry. I remember what you did to me in that last game. This next game, although it's completely different setting, completely different genre, the gloves are off. It does happen. It does happen. And I think that if you have the right friends to do that with, it's a lot of fun. But again, we're looking at cultural fit. If you have friends and they go, listen, that was 3 months ago now. You really need to move on and let go of that one move that was done. It could be irritating, and then your cultural fit is not working so well. All right, third and last point in this very long video, which it wasn't meant to be. The third and last point that we need to talk about is the social aspect of it. And I think that the social aspect of it is the tricky one because it's about reading people. Now, the fundamental line of the social space, I think, is about respect. But it could be, I respect you, you respect me, we both respect the rule of sportsmanship, we both respect the rule of fairness. And even in role-playing games where you go, well, that's not particularly fair, it's a case of, I respect your authority, you respect my authority. You, as the game master, me as the player, we respect one another, we work with one another. So I think that's important, is to establish whether there is that kind of respect, or you have a player who's going, no, screw you, you're so dumb. You are dumber than dumb than dumb. You are a dumb. And they don't care about being insensitive. They don't care about hurting feelings. They are expressing themselves because they believe that they are right. And so as a result, it seems to somehow give them the sense that they are allowed to say that kind of thing to another human being. Now, personally, if that kind of person was at my table, they would not be at my table for more than 5 minutes. I'd be like, well, listen, you know what? Why don't you go and play with your friends, and I will play with people that I want to have as my friends. Again, though, maybe insulting one another is a jocular way of bonding. We know that that's the case. If your table does that, then that's absolutely fine. It's all about that intent. So that's why when we're talking about the social fit, it gets quite tricky, because some people might think that that's amusing to rip their friends off. And if they have the right friends, it would be. But a lot of people go, it's not amusing. It's just, you're just insulting and bastardly base. So there is that. Other groups, another thing that to look at from a social perspective is someone sits down at the table and goes, yes, I'm so glad to be playing with everyone. We're all voting on Tuesday, right? And we're all going to vote for the right party, the correct party. And if you don't, you're all going to die, because that's what's going to happen. You get people who like to bring in real-world situations and scenarios and questions into the game. It's not necessarily a bad thing. It could be a great forum to discuss politics and humanity and religion and taxes and all that kind of stuff. On the other hand, some people play the game to get away from all of that kind of stuff. So if the person is a political animal or a non-topical kind of individual, assess whether that's going to fit in your group or not. Lastly, the people to watch out for the most, now as far as I'm concerned, this is the big one in a social environment anyway, is people who are there just for the game, not for the players. Why is this important? Well, for me, what's important to bear in mind with this entire process is that someone who goes, yeah, I'm here for the game and I don't care about you as a human being, that's all good and well. And maybe that's what you want. You don't want to know who the person is who's role-playing this PC or who's playing board games with you. You just want to have fun playing the board game. and that's it. That can work for some people. But for me, I like to know who I'm role-playing with. I like to make friends. If it hasn't become apparent by these special spiel videos, I like to make new friends and meet new people and see what's going on in their lives. That might be another point. Actually, I didn't even think about that in terms of social fit. Maybe people are not comfortable going, hey, we've only played together twice, but you're already asking me about how was the relationship between you and your mother? Is it true that when your father was doing this, you were in school daydreaming about that? I want to explore that connection. You know, I mean, maybe people don't like that. Maybe that's probably, I mean, I was going to say that's probably why I don't have a lot of friends, but I think I've got quite a lot of friends. And they put up with my nonsense going, well, so when you're in the shower, do you start with your feet first? It's like, what? What does that have to do with anything? Well, I get to understand you a little bit more, right? And you get to understand me a little bit more. As opposed to the people who go, I don't care what you do after the game. I don't care if you are in the middle of a divorce. I don't care if your people are dying around you. We said we're going to play at this time. We're playing at this time because I want to play at this time. And we've agreed to this time. So come and play at this time. And if you're crying and you can't see the board, that's very bad. Because you might damage the board if we're actually meeting in a real place. So rather don't do that. Anyway, those are my 3 things that I look at: the social fit, the cultural fit, and then the play style fit. I look for those 3 connections first. I do not look for people who know how to play the game. That is going to come with playing the game. I don't look for people who have got 20,000 copies of the game or 20,000 different games to play with. I look for people who fit culturally, and then together we can explore new games, new things, new ways of doing old kind of games and that sort of thing. Those are my things that I look for when I look for new friends to join my groups. Is that helpful? I hope so. That's why I made the video. Anyway, until next time, whatever convention you're attending, wherever you are in the world, whatever groups you happen to fit with, I wish you and yours the very happiest of gaming.